Okay, so moving on to the second part of adolescence, I gave you a quick overview of the physical, cognitive, social, emotional changes in adolescence. And I talked a little bit about the importance of recognizing how social emotional really can be a make it or break it for our kiddos during adolescence for their future. So we really need to hone in on who they are, what their experiences are, where they came from, what their culture is, what their family is like, all of these influences that make them, so we can approach them in the way that is unique to them. An interesting article that discussed the kind of challenges that professors see with the new Gen Z. I guess not so new anymore. The Generation Z that's currently going through post secondary, and what they were seeing in those students. So, number one, they saw a growing portion of students experiencing economic stress. So, previously, college was only for those who were rich and could really afford it. Well, today, with student loans and other opportunities, we see students of all different economic statuses being able to access college, which is wonderful. But it's a different type of student that comes to school where maybe um, money wasn't an issue or a stressor before. We have students coming in already thinking and stressing about how they're going to pay for their current semester or their textbooks, which can interfere with their ability to be successful at school. They lead very, very busy lives. So coming into college, they see students who maybe had used to have one or two outside activities now being overloaded. And I think we can all speak to our kids currently being overloaded with so much academically and stuff outside of school. Um, they also reported the new generation having a lot of diversity, which greatly enriched the campuses, but it also creates acute challenges. So again, students who are coming in with different experiences, with different opinions and stuff, maybe that the schools weren't prepared to meet. Um, and then the fourth is students are far more likely than in the past to report depression, anxiousness, loneliness, and being plagued by stress. So again, this is a really kind of make it or break it with some of our kiddos. So we really need to take a step back as the adults and take a look at what our current adolescents are dealing with and struggling with in today's world. What Gen Z reports is that they don't want to hear, and what they call kind of a boomer mentality, even if we're not really boomers, is the idea, well, when I was a kid, this is what we did. We weren't on all these electronics. We didn't went outside and played, and we did this and that. They don't want to hear that because their reality is different than what we grew up with. So I think there's a lot of good of what we have to offer, but how do we really get to know, who our kids are and what they've been experiencing? So I'm going to show you another really awesome video. Again, it's a little bit longer, like some of the other ones that you've seen, about 14 minutes long. But I really would ask that you sit and watch because it's really interesting to see this film, which is a group of six adults. Three of them are of the boomer age, and three of them are of the Gen Z age. And they get together for an honest conversation about thoughts and ideas, and how we can learn to work together. After watching the video, there's going to be a question about your own opinion as a paraprofessional or educator and how you can better meet the needs of your students, kind of now that we've looked at from infancy, birth, all the way up through adolescence, and really getting to know your kids, identifying maybe where some of those developmental gaps are, and how do we able to lift them up through post-secondary, whether it's job or a career or college or a trade school, however they are, how can we help to boost that ability to be successful in life? So without further ado, I'm going to show the video. Hope you enjoy, and then you'll move on to the next culminating activity.
I don't trust the younger generation in terms of values because I don't even think they know what it is that they value.
There's a term swirling nowadays, okay boomer.
Okay boomer trend.
It's going viral.
Almost like a demeaning term to older people.
The millennials and Generation Z have the Peter Pan syndrome. They don't ever want to grow up.
This grievance culture, as you suggest, that says that we're all owed something from the world, and if we don't get it, it's because the system has failed us.
Okay boomer, why can't you love me as much as you love to share memes about minions?
My name is Mike Simpfendorfer. I'm 57 years old from Bellflower, California. I got 4 kids.
My name is Tony Jackson Walker. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I'm 65 years old.
My name's Jess. I'm 20 and I'm from Ventura, California.
My name's Corinne. I'm 21 and I'm from East LA.
Hi, my name is Stefan. I'm also 21 and I am a student and artist.
I'm Bill. I am a writer and a dad of 2 and of a baby.
I get my baby boomers to line up over on the left and my Gen Z over on the right. Okay, boomer is ageist. I think the phrase okay, boomer is ageist because the term in itself erases the entire experience of a whole generation. If we as Gen Zers were to get that same energy from boomers, we would feel ostracized and we would feel marginalized.
I've never heard the term okay boomer.
I feel like it's like dismissing something that someone says, but implying to someone who's a baby boomer. Like if someone were to say, oh, I don't like Starbucks, you'd be like, okay, boomer.
Oh, that's funny to me rather than insulting.
Yeah.
I personally don't think it's necessarily ageist because being a boomer is more associated with certain behavioral patterns and mindsets and like potentially political views. So it's kind of more about the characteristics of a boomer rather than the age itself.
It's kind of like the whole back in my day type
Right.
language, and our response to back in my day is okay, boomer.
Well, we said that to our parents too. Do you have kids?
Yes.
Well, we all have kids. So I wouldn't say something insulting about my kids' generation because they're all Gen Z. So I love my Gen Z kids. So I wouldn't knock them for that. They couldn't help when they were born.
Older generations create problems that younger generations have to solve.
Speaking for like at least myself and a lot of my close friends, I feel as though there have been a lot of issues that we've had to kind of take on, such as the environment, such as a lot of wars that we had nothing to do with, yet we have to end up with like the repercussions.
No, I would agree. And I do think that's sort of true of every generation. You have to deal with the world that your parents gave you. When my children were born, there were no cell phones. My daughter was born in 2001. And just in the 18 years, 19 years almost, that she's been alive, the whole world has changed radically. And it's been scary for us as parents because my generation technically gave that to your generation. And it has changed not only your generation, but ours too, in terms of the time that we have for each other. Everybody sitting around doing this, when you're all sitting in a room together, and that's us too. If there were anything I wish we could dial back a little bit, it would be that.
Although older generations may have created those problems, I don't think they did it on purpose. Hindsight is 20/20. So once you see the effects of what you've done, I don't necessarily think it's just the younger generations cleaning up the problems. I do believe that the older generations offer support as well.
I think historically, there are issues that are inherent in each generation, because there are certain things, there'll always be war and there'll always be poverty, but it doesn't necessarily mean that a generation created it and another generation is going to come and solve it, because I don't believe it will ever be solved in essence. It will be something that's perpetrated and ongoing.
It's always going to be this way. My parents left problems for us to solve. We're going to leave problems for you to solve. I think it comes down to, what do we do about it? Because it takes a lot of leadership to go, I don't think what I've been doing or been a part of has been very helpful, but I want to try to earn the right to help fix it.
I trust the values of the other generation. I cannot say that. No.
I do, just as much as I may question some of the values that they're talking about. One of the things that personally bothers me is we've allowed communism to become an acceptable thought process in this country to govern us, which also tells me that we haven't done our job. But yet, when you look at why is it brought up, it's because people feel enormously frustrated, and we need to address the people in our age bracket. Why are they frustrated, and how do we change some of that?
They grew up in a different world than we did.
Yes.
When I got out of college, I got a job, I got an apartment, I was able to live by myself, and you could do that then. The world that our children are coming into, it's not nearly as easy to do because of the price of housing, because of the sort of wages they can get. There aren't companies that you can go and enter now at 21 or 2 and know that you're going to work for 40 years for that company.
When I grew up, I knew what my beliefs and my values were going to be, because my mother passed down the same ones that my grandmother had. I passed down the same ones to my son. Now, I think somewhere in between the generations, between you all and us, things have changed. We've stopped talking. We've stopped saying what we value. I don't trust the younger generation in terms of values, because I don't even think they know what it is that they value. Do you value another person's life? I tell my son, oh my God, one of the worst things can happen to me is someone in this generation would have to take care of me. They don't understand me. They don't know anything about me.
That goes to the prompt, which is, do you trust the other side's values? And I think of the values that you may have grown up with in terms of what you were taught about being homosexual and whatnot. I grew up queer in a Black family. That's a whole different dynamic, and what they were taught that was brought down to them intergenerationally, it has been homophobia. And it's like, that's what I think of when I think of values of my elders, and I can't trust it, because in terms of policy, it was your generation that got it wrong so many times, and that had put LGBTQ people into a second-class status, and we're trying to get that back as our generation.
I'm not really even sure what like the values of baby boomers are, like what they would agree on are, but I do appreciate all the work that has been done for us by that generation, like civil rights, women's rights, like LGBT rights. I was born with all those rights, but it was really the people that were a lot of them baby boomers in those protests that got us where we are today.
I was a young gay boy and couldn't even say the word until I was in my 20s. It was the most horrible thing you could imagine growing up to be. I couldn't talk to anybody about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gay, and there's so much progress that has been made, but there's still so much to be made. When I think of values of like baby boomers, the first thing that I think of is kind of just the whole like hard work gets you pretty much anywhere mindset, and I just feel like that's so toxic, because there are so many other barriers that a lot of people don't talk about. Like if you're poor, if you have like kids, if you don't have opportunities for education, like those 3 just alone will inhibit your success.
Well, I think that was true when we were young. Hard work did get you very far. My husband worked in a company which he started in his 20s and worked there for many years. It was just an established company with a retirement plan and all this sort of thing. And those don't exist anymore. Your generation doesn't have those guarantees.
And I think that is why you're seeing such a large-scale rejection of capitalism. And I don't think it's communism. I think what our generation is exploring now is socialism, which is not the same as communism. You guys inherited a union economy that worked for working people. We are inheriting a gig economy for subcontractors that only works for the rich and powerful. What our generation is exploring is democratizing the workplace and social justice, things like that, that are really for the people, which is at the core of what socialism is. We are growing up in a different country than you guys are growing up in, and we are looking for alternatives because we know this is not sustainable.
I believe my generation will leave the world a better place.
I hope you do.
Me too.
I plan on fighting to do our part, that when I part, that you've inherited things that have improved. And then I hope when you leave the earth, you've made it even better and handy, because if we don't, game over. And that may be a dramatic term, but I tell people, my own age, we don't have a choice. Do we leave it better or worse? It's an obligation.
Let me put it this way. You're going to know we were here. We laid a foundation for you all to come and do bigger, greater things. Civil rights, women's rights, boycotts. We fought for everything. And we're still working. We're still making changes.
And I think this generation will leave making a better place because of everybody else's work. My family always says, like in terms of raising kids, with your parents, you take what you like and you lose what you don't. So I think we have such an advantage with the internet, being able to see what was done wrong generations ago and what we can do now to fix it.
We missed you.
I want to believe that, and I have a lot of hope that we will. And I feel like we have the potential, but knowing what I know about history, a lot of what we're experiencing today are just new renditions of what we've already experienced. And we know that history repeats itself. We just don't know when to call it. And it's oftentimes when we call it, it's too late. Knowing what I know about the environment and what's really going to happen, it's like I can't realistically say that, one, I, in good conscience, would want to bring a new generation into this world, and knowing that it will be a better world for them.
We can't save the world. We can only say, guess what? We were here. We made a change. We attempted to do good, and we attempted to help others and become more diverse. And if we did that, you know what? We did something. Collectively, individually, we made the world a better place. Because I'm believing great things for you.
So I hope you loved that video just as much as I did, and really just make you sit back and again think about all of the wonderful stuff that you have and your life experience and your knowledge and what we know about our kiddos, and really kind of take what you have and step into their lives to see what you can offer and support moving forward. So the next activity will help think about that and maybe think about a couple of ideas in your current role on how you can support that.